Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. As more retail investors are getting into equities, competition is heating up among share trading platforms. Brokerage fees are extraordinarily low. There's a huge amount of information available about companies, and accessing global markets is getting much easier. One of the first players on the scene was SelfWealth. The online trading platform launched a decade ago and listed on the ASX in 2017. Cath Whitaker is the CEO of SelfWealth. Cath, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
So SelfWealth is one of the very original flat fee share trading platforms in Australia. It's just a potted history of SelfWealth, please.
Yeah, sure. So as you say, started off over a decade ago, and, we really did start off as a community of investors. And then, we've done a series of firsts within the Australian market. Flat fee brokerage bought in, listing in 2017. And since then, we've launched just a variety of other firsts looking at ESG data, US trading, early access to US trading. The list goes on.
Okay, so you a flat fee share trading platform. You are much cheaper than perhaps your biggest rival, which is about twice your price. But there's also a bunch of share trading platforms that are offering zero brokerage. It seems like an incredibly competitive marketplace at the moment, and I wonder whether everyone's sustainable.
Yeah, terrific question. And look, our view is this. SelfWealth is different in terms of we were cash flow positive for the financial year of 2021. So, we know that even with our low cost and high service, our business model works. Looking at the new entrants that have come into the market, really pushing, as you say, a zero or a very low cost brokerage, we know that they have to be loss leaders. From our perspective, we are concerned in terms of who will survive in that bottom to the barrel race, especially given, it's retail investors that they're targeting. So mums and dads handing over their cash, handing over custody to their equities, and knowing that, not all of those platforms will survive. A big concern for us.
Okay, so how does SelfWealth make money then? Is it on that brokerage fee?
Exactly. So we've been very transparent from the start. Our $9.50, we have been ruthless in terms of cost, making sure that our business model is sustainable. We pride ourselves on disclosure, and for that we've been rewarded through terrific loyalty with our membership base.
Okay. I'm just interested in what you're seeing in the market now. And one thing about a platform like SelfWealth, you will see trends perhaps in front of others. You mentioned ESG up front. Why is it that you're now providing ESG data? Is it that big an attraction to investors?
Yes. So, from the start, we have been a community of members. And so as such, we look at how our investors are looking at what to invest in next. And we really saw a change in behaviour early 2021, where we noticed that people were looking at stock reports with what we saw as companies having higher ESG ratings. So what we wanted to do, as we always do, is make sure that our investors have the right information in front of them at the right time. And so we partnered with Refinitiv and made sure that our members have free ESG data at their fingertips in a very simplistic way, which is to have an A, B, or C marking against each equity, which covers about 90% or so of global market cap.
Okay, and is this the A, B, or C? Does that reflect their carbon emissions? Does it reflect their ability to change from fossil fuels to green fuels? What does that A, B, C encompass?
Yeah, so there's just over 100 criteria that goes into those A, B, and Cs. And of course, just to throw a few more three-letter acronyms, of course, the E, the S, and the G, each represent different criteria as well. So what you can do, you get the overview rating, and then you can dive into each of those criteria. So in this case, environmental would cover off the carbon emissions, and really have a look at how that company compares to others.
Okay. Is it a trend that is biased towards any set of investors? I certainly know my kids who are sort of interested in investing. They're teenagers or early 20s. They are interested in investing, but all that really matters, they think about it, whereas when I was 20, would have had no idea what the acronym stood for.
Yeah, you're spot on. And so SelfWealth does offer minor accounts as well. And so we absolutely do see more interest in, say, younger demographics. Although it is fair to say as well, looking at across the range, and it becomes often a comparison between peer groups within a sector is what we think is when the final decisions are made in terms of how that ESG rating compares.
Okay. Stay with me, Cath. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Cath Whitaker, Chief Executive Officer of SelfWealth. Now, the other big one, of course, is crypto, at least for many investors. There's a lot of demand for it. In April, you'll be adding direct trading in crypto. Tell me about that.
That's right. So next quarter, we will be adding crypto functionality. And it does come from demand from our membership base. We know that at the moment, roughly 35% of Australian investors, we believe, have somehow invested into crypto. However, what we also know is, there's a lot of confusion out there in terms of, how do I buy crypto and how is it stored and will it be safe? And indeed, which of the hundreds of coins should I invest in as a retail investor? So what the SelfWealth solution will do is simplify that process. And we've gone to great lengths to carefully choose the crypto partner and to make sure that from a retail investor perspective, it will be as seamless as possible with a combined view of your equities, your cash, and of course your crypto holdings.
So potentially if I decide I want to buy Bitcoin or at least parts of a Bitcoin unit, I can go to SelfWealth, spend $1,000, $20,000 and buy that part of the Bitcoin. Is that as easy as it's going to be?
Absolutely right. And the best thing about it is that you'll see your total holdings combined together. We do a great deal of visualization in terms of, movements of values as well, just all in one place. For us at SelfWealth, it's about simplicity and convenience.
Okay. Some of the data out of SelfWealth I think is really interesting. Half your users are millennials, 25% are Gen X, and then 15% baby boomers. Clearly you have a skew to the 30-year-olds rather than the 60-year-olds, about 2/3 are male and a third female. Again, across the board, that's probably I know that there's more males there, but it shows that females are using SelfWealth probably in bigger numbers than they are on other platforms. That's really interesting, but they're still investing in all the traditional stocks, Commonwealth Bank, Westpac, CSL, BHP, National Australia Bank. Are they conservative? Is it just a function that those companies are so big? Why is that?
Yeah, look, we've done a little bit of work in terms of looking at, different behaviours across, not just gender, but across demographic. And what we often say is that it's too easy to jump straight into, the demographic comparison. Instead, we look much more at investor behaviours. We know that folk it depends very much on what their life goal is at that moment, whether they're, planning for the future, whether they're saving for a particular goal. And we find it's actually the behaviour and driver that actually determines their investment decisions.
Okay, so if they've decided that they want to save for retirement when they're 20, they behave very differently than if they decide they want to save for a car in 3 years' time.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And that's why, we absolutely love looking at the community piece and the behaviours. And which is why I think, when there was a little bit of market volatility just earlier this year, we did see a shift in trends and behaviours more toward those ETF-related stocks as well. So it's an area that, we have rich experience in. We have 7 years of trading data. And look, what we continue to do is to support those people who want to align to different behaviours in trading and make sure that they can see what others are doing and help them align to whatever their goals are.
Okay, and in some ways it's kind of self-reinforcing. If everyone's seeking the same thing, that thing tends to happen only because of the weight of numbers.
Correct. But everyone wants different things at different points of life.
Okay, they're investing in the US, and that's something which 30 years ago was extremely difficult to do. Now you can do that. Are people investing a lot more in the Teslas and the sort of those really big brand names, all the big tech, Apple, Microsoft, etc., but even the McDonald's and those sorts of things of the world?
Yes, they are. And you're spot on. Access not just to the US, but other international markets. I think that has been one of the main changes that have happened in the last 5 years. There's no need to pay the exorbitant fees anymore to do that. And in terms of, what our membership are investing in, it does tend to be the tech stocks, also the retail brands that they are familiar with.
Okay. Now, talking about SelfWealth itself, you had a great 2020 in share price terms. It's come back now, but I presume that's on the back of the spike in retail investing. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. We were the classic COVID story in terms of the share price.
Yeah.
Going from 2019 to 2020, it's estimated that retail investors jumped from about 700,000 to 1.6 million now at the end of 2021. Obviously, a huge increase in the addressable market, which probably explains why there's been an influx of competitors into the space. But from our share price perspective, small cap instos in Australia certainly, recognise that changing trend. Got in and as other opportunities came about during COVID, came back from the share price. So, we've certainly ridden the full COVID wave.
Yeah, okay. So what next? We've got cryptos in April. What's next beyond that? SelfWealth is very innovative.
Yeah, so what's next? And SelfWealth is hugely innovative, which is what we pride ourselves on. We have our Hong Kong release coming up in the next few weeks. As you say, we have crypto coming next quarter. Our mission in life is to empower financial freedom for people, which means bringing on even more asset types for our retail investors and continuously improving our usability of the platform and, of course, maintaining our very high service levels.
Cath, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thank you very much, Sean.
That was Cath Whitaker, CEO of SelfWealth. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join me every morning for the full Fear and Greed podcast with all the business news you need to know. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.